Hello, friend. Welcome to this week's episode of the Remarkable People podcast. Today, we have an episode with a young woman who was born in Russia, sent to an orphanage at 2. She was raised there, got involved in gangs and some trouble looking for acceptance. Then she started finding out, ooh, maybe I can get into politics and find structure and leadership and wealth along the way. And then she has an incredible journey where she goes to Norway, then to America, then back to Norway. She lands in Portugal. But during this time, we talked about how we all as humans have ups and downs, but she learned to regulate and balance her life and find joy, and how she shares with us today what you're about to hear. So, our friend Aisha is going to take her time to share with us about the hardships of life and how, when we have the right mindset and the right perspective, we can have joy and grow as a human and have fellowship together. And we don't just make the world a better place, but we make our world a better place. So get your pens and paper, unless you're driving, and get ready for this incredible episode with our friend Aisha Makara right now.
The Remarkable People podcast. Check it out. The Remarkable People podcast. Listen, do, repeat. For life. The Remarkable People podcast.
Hey, Aisha, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm here in Lisbon. We have finally good weather. We've been like raining for a few weeks, but now it's again wonderful and great.
Beautiful. Yes. I've never been to Portugal, but some of my best friends growing up were from there, and they said it's just a gorgeous country. Now, today, I just told our audience from around the world a little bit about you, Aisha, and your story and what you're going to share with them today. But right from you, right from the source, if someone commits to spending a few minutes with us today and hearing your story, what do you guarantee they're going to learn, not just to be motivated by, but to be able to take and apply to their life and have even a better existence?
Never give up on yourself. Always believe in your dreams and always go for it. I believe like we are the dreamers and doers. And I believe like we're here to live our dreams. We are the testament of living dreams that we have achieved through our life. And you know, when you're dreaming, you started to understand the dreams become goals and goals become achievements. It's up to us to decide the life we want to live, and it's up to us the dreams we want to accomplish through our lifetime.
I think that's well said, very true, and super important. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short affiliate break and then come back, and we're going to hear how this became so important and how we can apply it to our own lives in 60 seconds. Ever worry about leaving valuables in your car? This is the solution you've been waiting for. Console Vault has been around for more than 20 years. It is an in-vehicle safe that goes in the console of your truck, SUV, Jeep, and even some automobiles. What happens is you take the plastic junk that the manufacturer installed, take a couple screws out, and then you replace it with a steel welded on 6 sides vault that goes in, gets screwed back into the frame of your vehicle. And if someone were to try to break in, they need like a welding torch to get into it. So basically, you can put your wallet, valuables, protection items, or anything else you need, whether you run to the gym, the grocery store, leave your car overnight, Console Vault is an amazing solution. They have different types of locks with digital combination, biometrics. And at the end of the day, again, someone would pretty much need to steal your vehicle to be able to access what's inside the console vault. So it's a great deterrent and way to protect your valuables and peace of mind. Check it out at consolevault.com. And when you use promo code REMARKABLE at checkout, you will save at least 10%, if not more, on your order. And sometimes they even throw in free shipping too with that promo code REMARKABLE. So I'm David Pasqualone, host of the Remarkable People podcast. I am not just telling you about Console Vault because they're an affiliate, but because I personally use the product for years, have used the product since 2005, and will continue to use the product in any vehicle I can. Enjoy yours and leave notes in the comment section below once you see how great Console Vault is. Aisha, I'm pumped for this episode. It's something I need. It's something so many of our listeners need. Let's go through your history. Everything that happened to you in your life, good, bad, ugly, pretty ugly. It made you the remarkable woman you are today, right? So go through your life. What was your upbringing like? Where did you start? And we'll just go through chronologically.
Where it started, I think it started when my mother abandoned me, and I get to be like independent. Since then, less than I was about 2 years old, and she decided to leave me in an orphan house somewhere in Russia, a very little town, and in the middle of nowhere. The point is, I learned how to be independent. I learned how to, take care of myself since then, and understood that life is not about like love and attention. It's great to have it through through your parents, and they're actually shaping you who you are today. Many people who experience parents in the life, I believe, like they have the parents helping them to achieve and shape their reality. I didn't have that in my childhood, so I get to shape myself through my own beliefs that I had that time. And even so, when I getting older a little bit, between maybe like 3 and 4, I used to run away all the time from the house. And what happened is like I've been every time delivered back as a little kid. And one day I realized like, okay, if I'm will like be more hiding here, hiding there, they will still find me, and somebody will bring me back, because somehow the adults knew that who I belong to. And so I realized if it's like dark, I never feel like scary to go and explore around. As a kid, I never feel scary, explore like nature, explore like, because we live in like a area where we had the horses, we had like farms, we had everything around, like small farms, like more like one person farms. And I used to go and run around, and I was very scared if like adults will find me, because I've been punished every time, like all the time, beaten up or put in the corner. But I still choose to do that. I still choose to run away, play by myself, play with whatever my imaginary friends, and sometimes other kids I play with. The point is like I learn life is a freedom. Life is just like exploration and adventure itself. So when I become a teenager, or like I started to kind of like flow towards my teens years, I had this urgent to be belong or to feel belonging. So I started to look for the group of people that I feel I want to belong to. And that time I've been already fostered a few times. And the second time, the parent, like my foster parents, was not nice. So I was actually running away from the house. But that time, nobody cares if I'm in the house, I'm in a shelter, or whatever. So I figuring out nobody cares about me as a human being. And so I started to do more, let's say, ugly things. I started to drink. I started to like try like cigarettes and different things. So for me, I was rebellious in some ways, but like I always could manage my school. Schools was very easy for me. So until I become so rebellious, I think it was like I was 14 already at that time, I started to fight with the was everyone, was adults, like really fight, not just like saying words, but also fight physically. So I was like this rebellious where like I stand up for myself, I express my voice. And every time I expressed my voice, I was punished and like really, really hard. And for me, from that experience, what I learned, I understood how strong I am and how powerful I am. And after that, I ended up in not good company, or I was already in a not good company. And, and this kind of like started to be more and more affecting my reality in my school life. So I stopped to go to the school. I didn't go to the school for some time. And after like my friends started to die on the different accidents and different things, so I started to face this death because I didn't think that nobody will dying around me, and here I am like facing the death of my like teammates that I was part of this weird gangster slash weird gang, and it's okay. I don't like I nowadays I don't judge myself, but when I was a younger, of course I had some issues. So be part of the gang is not easy. The thing is like you don't know. As a kid, you don't know. You're figuring out you in your own. In this case, I get to figuring out in my own through the experience that I went through. And when I started to face the death of my friends who was like 16, 17, and they were dying, for me, it was a pivot moment. I was like, I don't know if I will be surviving until 18. And I was like, I got to live my dreams. I got to come back to the school. I got to finish all the things I want to finish. And that's what I started to do. I get out of the gang. It took me extra time to do that, but I cut it completely. I've been a complete loner at my school because all my schoolmates and like turned their backs. Nobody wants to be my friend. And I was okay with that. I remember I was sitting in the last row of on the school bench, and I was like, okay, it's all good. I got to get through this. But the thing is, because of that rebellious time, I was fighting with the teachers, I was doing a lot of like not good things. It's kind of affecting later my reality because I want to be a journalist and the teachers didn't help me with that. Nobody wanted to help me to kind of like live my dreams in the end. So I said, okay, I'm going to figuring out my own. So first, I moved to study law school for like a little bit, and after I changed to the engineering because I couldn't get into the journalism school because in Russia, what's happening is when you don't get enough score and your language skills and history, so you cannot get into the next steps of the university. You get to kind of like catch up and do the extra exams or do the extra year or whatever. And I didn't want to do that. I said like, I cannot do extra year in this place. So I just get to figuring out. That's what I did. And I started to study engineering. And still, I've been hyperactive in the community. I was doing forums, events that time, like doing a lot of things. I've been, again, like leader of my university class and doing a lot of amazing things that moment of my life. What I learned through that experience, by me being me, continue to show up, continue to share who I am, the way I am, it helps me to create a new reality for myself. So I realized by traveling around Russia that time, I started hitchhike when I was 15 or 16 around Russia and Central Asia. And I figuring out that I get to move to the Moscow, not living where I'm living in the city with about like 500,000 people or 600,000 people. Even so, it was a big city where I was studying engineering. I decided like I get to somehow move to Moscow. But the thing is, I didn't know anyone in Moscow. I was like, how am I going to move? I don't have anyone there. And so I was continuing to do what I get to do. University sent me to this summer camp for the all students from around Russia. So I went to that summer camp. I just share with all the leaders there, with all the teachers, with all the professors. I was share, I want to move to Moscow. I want to study in Moscow. This is what I have done. This is what I'm doing. Present different project from my region. So they transfer me in 2 months or something like that. In that summer, I've been transferred to Moscow as one of the students and have my quote or whatever. That's like I got money from the government and continue kind of like build up my dream. So I moved to Moscow and they continue to do what I get to do. And then Moscow opened up more doors for me because I was volunteering like the same time for the, government thing. I was believing in the government, what I would be patriotic towards these things I get to do because I believe because I didn't have parents, I didn't have anyone around, I believe that the party will help me. And being youth, leader of the youth of this one of the Russian parties there, I realized it's opened up more doors for me. When I finished the university, it's going to be easy for me to get a job. And actually, I got a job, like a summer job as an engineer in Russia. And what happened is like I apply for Norway because I started to meet a lot of friends who wants to move to America for the work travel, like this work travel visa, whatever, move to America. And I didn't want to move to America. I was like, I want to have this experience, international experience too, because I believe like it's opened up more doors for me to have that experience. And eventually I got into the Norway. I, I got like a scholarship in Norway. And what happened is my friend at that time was telling me, Aisha, you shouldn't leave. You should stay here in Moscow. We don't want you to leave. And my leader that, from the party would say like, it's better for you to stay here. Don't go to Norway. I said like, I just want to have this experience. I said, I just 1 year. It's not a big deal. I will come back. Maybe in 6 months I already come back. And I didn't. I stayed. I stayed. 1 year later, I got a job as engineer in Norway. I was studying, working, being again leader of the youth in Red Cross, and again going to all different forums in Norwegian language. I was like crazy learning Norwegian language because I before moving to Norway, I spent maybe 1 month, about a month, to learn English. But when I moved to Norway, I realized my English skills that I learned in that month was nothing. I couldn't understand anything. So I was working with vocabulary at that time, dictionary. And I was trying to communicate with everyone in English because in Norway, everyone speaks English. And for me, it helps a little bit. And at the same time, 4 months later, I said to myself, I cannot go here and like just speak English. Or 2 months later, I get to learn Norwegian. So I went to the Norwegian school, like learning Norwegian classes in the evenings. During the day, I was studying English. During the night, I studied Norwegian. And I was like consistently learning. I was selling pizza. I did like a pizza delivery. I was like hustling around because I got to kind of like make this extra money because I want to travel around Europe. And eventually I got a boyfriend, Norwegian boyfriend. So it's like many things happening at the same time. I was like a hyper active, and some naturally 6 months later I became a leader of the youth of Red Cross and like Save of Children. It was like I just said yes, yes, yes to everything. And I remember my first burnout happened like when I was 23. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm taking all this responsibility, all these years. I'm just like caring, all of this. I'm having so much fun, but I don't have time for myself. I'm still living my dreams. I'm doing these things like, I achieve I travel all the places I want to travel in my, like when I was 20 years old. I remember I was between 20, I think to 21. I remember I'm staying in the Times Square in New York, spending the New Year there at the rooftop restaurant, and I'm staying there in the balcony, and I was like, I'm a winner, oh, my dreams is real. And when I was 17 or 16, I was thinking it takes me all life to achieve what I achieved in just few years, 3 years of that time, to be on top of the world. And I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. I'm a winner. For me, it was like a pivot moment that I realizing that all my dreams is real. And I was like, what's next? That's why I took a job as engineer. I started to work and like did more other things. And eventually I said to myself, I want to be an actress one day because I was not happy. I was doing something that was not a real, like what I want to do. I did it because that's what community needs, or like a government needs, or like a country needs, And I said, like, okay, I'm going to try to be an actress. All my friends that time telling me, like, you're crazy. Just study here in Norway. Why do you need to go to LA? And I said, if I'm going to be an actress, I'm going to be an actress in LA. And that's what I did. And I was came to LA. I was doing a lot of networking, going to those whole background jobs, and we're just consistently moving, like living in a car most of the time. And I was so tired after like 3 months. It was so expensive, like it's super expensive. I got very scary because all my savings is just going like so fast that I made, and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to live here in LA, all my savings is just enough for 3, 5 months. And what I'm going to do, it's if I still don't make enough, and you get to make so much money in LA to kind of like have like going through, you get to at least like make 3 or 4 thousand dollars minimum that time, to kind of like get through the months. And for me, I was
Yeah, and
always,
this was what, early 2000s, right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah, so you can pretty much double that now. I mean, if you were making 7,000 a month out there, you're probably on
Yeah,
welfare. It's so expensive.
expensive, so expensive. And for me, it was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive? And of course, other people around me, oh, you're immigrant, your English skills, this is your past, is be a stripper or prostitute, and I'm like, there's some other path for sure. You don't need to go, like, I have my background, I'm an engineer, I cannot like allow myself to go to like whatever people say to me. It's not my path, and it's like I've been kind of like this rebellious one. I'm like, okay, I'm going back to Norway. I got very scary. Even so, my past going up and up. I getting better jobs, like background jobs, and I was like already getting my agent and go to the English school. Started to do like classes, like acting classes and stuff. So like I was working up slowly. That was so scary because it was so expensive, and I feeling so lonely that first time in my life I realizing I'm like super lonely. Like if I'm going to live in America or like Los Angeles, it's very lonely path to be an actress. And that's I was like, I don't want to be lonely. I was kind of like got scary at that moment of my life with loneliness. And I felt the first time in my life this loneliness inside of me. And I didn't I didn't want to do that. And I was like, still want to experience the real love in my life. Like I don't want to be superficial, I want to really like feel my heart, live with my heart, and I want to like continue to live with my heart. And so I went back to Norway, and I got my job back, just in a different department, and continued to work again for like that time for like 9 months. And but I was not happy, and I was always like kind of like feeling like I'm not happy. So I got myself feeling happy, and I was asking myself how I'm going to feel happy, because like in Norway it's like this, everyone is just consuming, getting like it's the same as in America, getting bigger house, getting kids, getting this better car, like storage more stuff. I didn't want to be one of them because I was one of them as well. Like I had a nice boyfriend. He's the best doctor in the world. I had amazing life in Norway. And so for me, he loves me very much. I'm actually like very settled. I'm like everything. I'm working as engineer. Everyone looking up to us. Like we're amazing couple. We're doing like amazing things. We're just traveling all the time when I have a free time. But I was not happy. I was feeling empty inside of me. And even so, I had that experience, and he supported me in my experience to be an actress. But was not like super supportive. He's always showing me this, like, oh, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. I'm here for you, but at the same time, it's better to be in Norway. Norway is way better to live, and so
He didn't want you to go.
yes, he didn't want me. But anyway, I realized that later in my life. At that time, when you're in your early 20s, you don't know so much, about what's happening, what's like how life is working. It's like you're very like innocent in many ways. You have your like this dreams that you're believing like this anything is possible, and it is. I still believe anything is possible. What happened is like continue to do what I was doing and observing things. What makes me happy is just like buying more stuff or like do more travelings, and it's not. It doesn't make it. It didn't make me feel full inside. So I went in my spiritual journey that time, first time in my life. I went on a spiritual journey. So I did the Camino de Santiago because my author that time was Capalo Coelho, and The Alchemist, the book is Alchemist. I was like, okay, I'm going. Paulo Coelho did this journey, this path, so I will do that too. So I did exactly the same as I did. I even stay in his albergue, like his hostel that's in Spain. with all his books and all his fans is there, like whatever. I was one of them. For me, like it was so inspirational because I said I cannot live in Norway anymore. I got to move somewhere, and America is too expensive for me. I don't feel like I want to be there right now. So I moved to slowly. I discovered Portugal. Of course, I continued the backpacking, traveling after that, and I discovered Portugal. And I'm like, when I stay in Lisbon, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a country that where I want to live. This is where my heart is. I just felt it like instantly. So 3 months later, I think it was like 5 months later, I moved to Portugal, to Lisbon. And again, like I started to work in real estate. I got my real estate license. I started to do all the things. It's just started. Portugal just started to be like a more or less international. Tourists started to come to Portugal because Portugal was not so popular. Nobody knows about Portugal. Even me, I didn't know anything about Portugal. I was just discovering through my Camino de Santiago tour. And it was very interesting because when I started to live here, it was amazing. My life was like great. 3 months later, living here, I started to receive keys from different people. So like, oh, manage my apartment, manage my place, manage my mansion, manage like. So I end up 6 months later managing like many properties. Like some properties I get to do a renovation, and after like I end up in the relationship, again, and it's like too much, too many things happen, and I started again do something that people wanted, but not me. I want to do that. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy to be in a luxury dress and wearing beautiful dresses and high heels and makeup, and I enjoy to be a woman because when I was living in Norway, I didn't feel woman. We are so equal, and I've been working in a very male dominant environment, so I didn't even like consider myself as a woman. I was like I got to be like very strong and working in exactly the same way like man does. So here I become a businesswoman. So even so, again, to being businesswoman, I'm still in a very male, macho, dominant environment, especially here, Portugal, Spain. It's very macho, and it's not easy to to be a businesswoman. So I learned a lot, of course, and I'm experienced. I also learned a lot of things about myself first by observing, being open. Again, express my voice. That's actually I've been again like punished in some ways, and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, why one woman expressing her truth, expressing her like, like bringing this attitude, kind of like more masculine, and people like, special men, doesn't some men reacting like, oh, she's amazing, I want to own her or I want to fight with her. It's kind of like it's different attitudes I meet in the male, like through the male world. One wants to own you and working towards a strategy how to get you. Another one is just fighting you and want to kind of like destroy you. And that's kind of like I started to realize it's not outside world, it's within me. That's what I'm like. I have this masculine in me so strong. That's because I get to survive for so long in my like through my childhood, take that attention, from the adults. I didn't receive any love or any kind of like I didn't understand, because you're living in a world where you get to survive, asking for attention from the adults. That not enough. That adults sharing your attention, this attention between 30 kids, and you're one of them. So it's not like easy to even to get that attention. And you get to kind of like that attention from my side was just to punish me, on some different like very painful ways. Like that's how I could get attention from everyone, because like the kids was scary looking at it, and they didn't want have what the adults was giving to me. And at least in that way everyone giving me attention, like some of them was scary what they see, the way the adults was treating me. The adults was giving me attention because of the what they want to show the other kids don't do what I was doing. So for me,
And
it was
you went culturally from Russia to Norway to America, back to Norway, and now you're in Portugal. So those are five very distinct cultures on top of it, correct?
very different. Yes, super
Yeah.
different. I love Norway because that's what I discover about my strengths as a woman. I also discovered that I get to go through the therapy, because when I was a teenager, when I was very young, I also had a suicidal, like attitude. And because of my, like, also had so many things that's happening, like I was up and down, so very strong. And Norway helped me a lot to kind of balancing up. And weed, that time, first time in my life, I tried cannabis. I was in one of the student events there, or like a parties, and one of the girls, she said to me, "Oh, I have the same issue, like this suicidal thoughts, and the weed helps me." So I started to smoke weed the first time in my life. I smoked like about 2 months, I remember. And my boyfriend, he's a doctor. I remember he was showing me all these videos, what's happening with the brain if you're smoking weed. And I said to him, "Listen, it helps me." And after that, I never have a thought, like suicidal thought, or do something to myself. And so it helps me. So I was open more towards the therapy, and I went through the therapy, like I work a lot on myself to kind of like understand why I'm like this way, what's happening, what's, what I want to create, how I want to do this. So what I learned, because you grew up without parents' love, without any kind of like a structure. You have structure, but it's more like a military style, like in orphans, it's more like a military style. Nobody, you get to like make you bad. It doesn't matter you're like little or grow up, it doesn't matter. You get to learn how to take care of yourself in very, very early age. You get to be very like no emotions, nothing, very like soldier. It's like they raising the soldiers. They don't raise the humans. And it's like we're humans, we're little humans that we also need love and attention and reward and support, and like kind of like rewarding or lifting up towards the dreams, and nobody does it. No, like the adults around us doesn't have capability to do that, or capacity. So I learned, of course, about that later. And nowadays, when I understand a little bit better idea of what a healthy relationship is, even so, I don't know because I didn't experience in my childhood. I'm kind of like using imaginary, different, like, through the books, through the like watching some YouTube videos, like understanding through the action what other people think it's right, what it is healthy relationship, how to build healthy relationship, how to communicate in a healthy way, how to like be more flexible and don't get upset or disappointed or attached or something like that. So you like, or don't take things personally. So everything I learned through the books and through the different like movies or YouTube videos or whatever. So I kind of like took it serious, even so I don't feel it. I still do it through through my own practices and doing my best to like care about that. Started to care about myself as a human being and care about my value in the world. So it took me some time to kind of like really learn how to do it, like really care myself in that way that I matter. While I'm here, everything what I do, it matters. This is how I started to create more like different things. That's how I started to be an artist, because I'm very creative all the time. I'm organizing events, I'm organizing dinners, I'm organizing so many amazing things all the time. So for me, it's like it's normal, it's natural. I learn also I'm a natural leader. I'm a natural teacher. I'm like, for me, it's so natural when I'm in my own kind of like bubble, and I learn how to be in my own bubble and create my own kind of like this house, or I don't know, home around, like within me, or like I centered myself, and with my boundaries, communicating my boundaries very clearly, and don't rush, but be more patient. Patience was one of my challenges in my reality, because I'm not patient. I was not patient enough to kind of like understand the relationship. Everyone get to have their own kind of timing to process things. I just started to practice last year. I learned that some people need more time than others, because like if you have a conflict or difficult conversation, so some people needs a day or two, some people need like a week, some people need months to process that, to again to have conversation with you and be friends with you again. Sometimes you don't need years, so everything is just so interesting when you started to kind of like zoom in and zoom out, check in with yourself, and like kind of like doing every time like, okay, what's happening, what I feel. Because all our life is happening within us, in our body. All the emotions, everything is happening through our mind and through our emotions. So we get to learn how to be healthy and loving and feeling safe within ourselves, to be who we really want to be, to express our truth, what we have in our heart. And it's not easy because we get scary. We're using a scarcity mindset instead to thrive. That's also, I transform surviving towards thriving. I used to say to the people, we're here to thrive. We don't need anymore to survive. We get to learn how to thrive together now, not killing each other, how to collaborate with each other, how to create win-win. This is what I learned in Norway. Everyone there is a winner. In the childhood, or like through the school or daycare, they're already teaching kids how to be winners, how to collaborate with each other, how to help, how to support each other, because we all have a different struggles. And we're here to kind of like combine and, kind of like helping each other to don't feel that struggle. Like it's like I have my strengths, you have your strengths, how we combine our strengths and be more stronger together. And how I can, every time when I was working every time I had idea when I was an engineer, my boss would say like, okay, go and take it. You have this idea, take it to the next. So that's why I was promoted every 6 months. And I was like, okay, one day I'm going to be on top of this chain or whatever, this hierarchy. What's next for me? I don't know, but I will have so much responsibilities to care, and that I don't have time for my own, what I want to create in my life. Because I was looking at my boss. He has like 3 kids, amazing family, and he's organizing like dinners for all collective, like maybe once a month or maybe 1 in 3 months. And his wife was like, they were renting this big house, so like it was not big rented, but it was like a guest house for everyone in the community. And he was playing different instruments, and he had a lot of fun. He was older, he was like in his late 50s. And I remember we had this conversation together, and he said, in life you get to balance it up, everything, like the good, the bad, the ugly. And the most important, you got to balance up yourself up to understand what matters for you. It's good to serve to the community, but also understand what community you want to serve and why. And also understand like why you're there and how long you want to serve. It's also up to you. It's like everything in life is optional. Even you want to be in the community or don't, you want to be part of someone's life or not, it's a choice. And that's what I know also in Norway, everything is a choice. Because in Russia, it's completely different. Everyone is like going through the survival mechanism. And in Norway, it's the opposite. They're like priorities and what matters. If for example, I book a flight today to visit my family, and the flight costs $2,000, makes sense for me to go and see my mom, my dad, to like this weekend and spend this $2,000, or I'm going to spend $200 or $500 and visit them in a month because flight tickets is more cheaper, for example. Like, so I started to learn in my early age. Thanks God, I have amazing teachers around me who teach me about the priorities, what matters for me in the first place, why I'm doing this, why I'm moving like these things and spending on this and that. So choices is very important. And nowadays, I'm learning what's happening in the world. We don't know what to choose. We're getting confused. We got lost because we have so many choices. And that's the one of the struggles of our time, that we don't know what we want, what life we want to live. Some people like lost in the parties, some people lost in the drugs, some people lost in the, like whatever, in the lust, So for me, it's again, it's a choice what we want to create and why we do what we do. We live in abundance right now, and we're consumers of the reality that we're living in. And how you can choose or change from the consumer to the creator, how you can create more value in the world, what you can do with that time that you have while you're here, and change the reality, or at least like not change, but shape the reality in some ways, in more positive, loving, and joyful way. That's what I'm like in my book, A Joyful Living. I'm doing my best to explain people that each experience is experience, and routines we get to create and switch them around, understand what's what serves us, what doesn't serve us, what we get to add, what we get to the opposite clean up. So every time in life, like it's like a circle, or like we're living in a loop. But it's up to us to understand how we wanna switch around in our loop, because more we're learning about what habits we want to have, we understand, okay, I like right now this, I don't like this. So it's all the time, it's up to us. It doesn't matter how old we are, it doesn't matter what background we have. We get to just learn what we can do with the knowledge we have, and how we can integrate that knowledge in our everyday life. And do we really want to do that? If for example, if I'm drinking too much, like, for example, if I reduce the drinking, of course, it's not easy, or smoking. It's not easy in the beginning, but slowly you started to learn that it serves you, like your longevity, your attitude, your mindset is getting more and more, you're getting more energy, because the alcohol and, drugs and cigarettes, everything takes your energy. It's like eating you up inside. It's okay to do that. But the point is like what I'm learning and experiencing when I'm pure and, doing my mantras or chanting or meditation or yoga, whatever I decided to do, it's lift my spirit up. And I'm feeling more, like two up sometimes. So you get to balance it up, because you're still living in a reality where people are still killing each other. We're still living in a reality where we're killing each other. Even so, it's not in our reality, but it's still there. We still can hear about that, see it. And so what I'm doing, I'm like, how I can reduce it within myself, how I can be more in peace within myself, how I can work, because I'm responsible for everything what's happening around in the world. I'm a part of this all collective that's happening around me. So like how I can be better, how I can reduce. I don't know when it's going to be less like these things, because people will still fight for the power, people still be people, and it's okay, because what I learned through my engineering experience, being in the projects and building road, tunnel, and bridges, we have a human factor. Yes, we have our standards and stuff and everything that we get to following up, and we have a human factor that we also get to face. Why each year, for example, we had this issue, why each year we have different amount of people who is dying on the road. Some years more people, some years less people, some, we even had like almost to zero. We have this project like a zero. If we can reduce the deaths on the road to zero, what solution we get to bring? We have a reflex, we had like different things. We were like paying attention. We did a lot of workshops and so on in schools and in the different workplaces. The point is like how we can reduce. We get to start within ourselves, being peace within ourselves. Ask your loved ones how I can be better in support, how I can support you better, how I can be more playing team with you, how I can be more loving. Asking that question to your loved ones around you, how can be better lover or father, mother, brother, sister. Asking yourself this question, you started to kind of like realizing what it's coming from me, what I want to see in the world. I get to do that to other people first, and don't have any expectations at all. Like, oh, I get to get it back from the same source. No, you get to give because you want to give, and don't have any like ideas getting it back. That's what I'm also learning through my time. I used to say to the people, if you decided to go together, you're equal. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter which language you speak. Now you're walking together. Maybe you have like your most richest person in the world. Maybe you went to the best schools in the world. Now you're working with someone who doesn't have any of this, and you choose, and some days or maybe weeks you're working together, you have conversations to share. So I believe we all one. We're living in one reality. We're living on the planet Earth. And more we collectively evolve, the evolution is happening. More we collectively creating this oneness and understanding we are responsible for what's happening around us in the world, we can create more peace within ourselves and still like, okay, I'm responsible. How I can work on my peace within myself, because what's happening is also happening within me. I'm the universe. I'm the reflection of everything around me. Like that's the reality I'm living in. It's a mirror of us collectively, who we really are. And that's the reality I want to not switch, but shape a little bit in a different direction while I'm here with my presence, with my actions. And it takes time because I'm a human. I'm getting also angry. I'm getting upset, disappointed, and I'm working on that. I ask myself why I feel it. What is in my felt I get to like work on within myself. So that's what I'm starting to kind of like using the mirror effect and different, methods that I'm practicing through my own kind of like practices that I'm by learning and reading. I love to read. So like every time I'm learning something new, I'm doing my best to integrate it in reality. So I see how it works in reality, and it does work very well, actually. The thing is not so many of us want to integrate things and ground them. From my perspective, what I'm learning, it's completely different when you're in your 20s and when you're in your 30s and when you're in your 40s or 50s. The integration process is very different. The point is that how we ground ourselves, what ground rules are important for us, what principles are important for us, what values we want to create through our actions. So everything matters. That's why we're shaping our like reality or shaping our bubble, because of our boundaries. More we're practicing our boundaries, and it's shaping us. It's shaping us as a humans, who we really are. And not so many of us can even think about that. Even don't think about that. They don't come to this level of awareness to ask these questions. I mean, for me, it's the simple questions. I love questions. I'm journaling all my life since I started to read and write. So for me, like, I'm best friend of my reality. I'm my best friend because I'm living with myself all my life. So I'm my best friend. So I get to ask myself, is it something is resonate with me? If someone giving me advice or feedback, if not, I'm just saying thank you, and I'm living my life. I don't get attached to that or saying, oh, this is probably something will work. I don't know, but it's everything. As I used to say, optional. Absolutely, now with all the choices that we have, the way we want to shape ourselves, again, it's up to us. Just be aware and take responsibility over the actions that you create. Don't blame anyone. Nobody is here to be blamed. Don't blame yourself either, because we're all humans. We're learning through the experience of our life. We don't know. And we're making sure that we know everything. We don't know anything. The reality, or like even the quantum field, we still don't know the way the quantum field works. And the thing is like nowadays, Chopra, or they talking about like how we can change our reality with our thoughts, and it's possible, but it's all about intention and consistently, moving towards that with positive attitude. It's all about figuring out that balance that is within, because we have everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. How we can actually balance it up. That's the question I'm asking myself, how I can balance it up, all of it. And don't be judgmental about that. Be in peace and love, because it's all me as well. And that's the not easy question, because I still have issue with judgment, and that's I'm working on, and I'm figuring out how to be way more flexible and loving and joyful and caring and more gentle, because more I'm gentle with other people, more I'm gentle with myself. And more I'm kind towards other people, I'm more kind towards myself. And at the same time, I'm feeling, by me treating other people, maybe they don't see it right now. Maybe they don't have awareness of my kindness. The thing is, I trust that one day they will remember me and say like, oh, I remember Aisha, she said to me this like 10 years ago, whatever. I trust to putting the seeds in people's minds, and you never know when it's going to grow that seed to something more beautiful and magical. I don't know, but I trust one conversation can change human life.
Yeah, no, I agree. And when you were talking about how the more we learn, the less we know, like the more we learn truly when we're growing, the more we realize how little we know and how infinite the universe is and God is. So I totally track with you. Going back, you have such a unique, I don't want to say background, character, personality, but how all your circumstances combine to create you who you are today is super interesting to me, because you're an artist and you're an engineer. And those are usually total polar opposites. So when you have a mindset of an engineer, it's usually 1 + 1 is 2. It's very systematic, non-emotional. And then when you're an artist, it's like a bowl of spaghetti. Everything intertwines and emotions are running the show. So I really want to go back to the creating a win-win. You said you started learning that concept in Norway, but what are some steps? You're in an interpersonal relationship, whether it's at work or your personal life, and you're trying to create a win-win. What are some steps you'd recommend to our listeners that have worked for you that might work for us?
My from that experience, what I learned to being engineer, I've been very creative. I always do art on the side, and I also like kind of like learn how to balance it up. And I sometimes I'm like thinking about my 20s. I was like, I've been emotional as well, like up and down. But general, I was very balanced up. Like if I look at my 20s, I was like doing all these amazing things. What I recommend about win-win is always asking questions: how I can be better in service, how I can be better in service to myself and to others, what I can improve. Like for example, when you have a conflict, understand what's come from, why you have this conflict, why it's happening. Be neutral in that moment, not like letting yourself the emotions going through you and have that conversation right away. Give yourself time to process your why and come back and have a conversation. If that person still need the time to process their emotions and their why, give them that time. It doesn't matter if you're in a work environment or in your like a romantic relationship. It's always giving each other space to process things that they get to process, and giving each other the space to explore. In a work environment, you understand that we have a human factor. For example, like if you have a conflict in the workplace, understand how to resolve that conflict. It's like who you can like communicate it with and who you cannot communicate it with, to kind of like resolve the situation inside of your work environment, because it's important. It's important to resolve it and move forward, because especially when you're working in a team, as fast as you're moving forward with the conflict and started to move things around, it's easy it is to raise the vibration, like be better, because we are all winners. How I can help other person to win, to be here with me in a team, continue play team with me, what I can do as a leader, because we're all leaders. And that's, you get to turn on your leader in that moment to be who you want other person to be, because it's everything is a mirror. I get to be someone right now to clarify some things and get clarity in other things by communicating my truth, and at the same time being patient with other human being who's next to me. Maybe that person in that moment needs more time than I do. And at the same time, not pushing, not like, being harsh or like continue to kind of being so attacking. Instead, step back, observe, stop, observe, and let it go. But give yourself permission to be to be better human being, because what happening was who is it's not about to be bad like a better. I'm not better than anyone else, but the thing is, in this moment I'm better towards myself. I'm not escalating this conflict because I have awareness. If I will continue to escalate this conflict, it will lead me down spiral, and I want to go up spiral. I want to go towards abundance and joy that I want to create in the world. By going down spiral, I'm working towards misery and disappointing and sadness. And I don't want to go toward that spiral, because everything is, how to say, everything has a both. Like even our mind has a like a negative and positive, because like our ego has both as well. Like it depends which ego we're using in the moment. If we're using the positive one, it will lead us to the positive direction. If we're using the negative, it will lead us to the negative. If we're balancing up, if we're using the neutral one, so we're not attached either. We're open to absolutely all of us. So we allowed universe to work with us. We allowed universe to collaborate for the best possible way with us. We're not controlled, we're not fixed. And that's what's happening in all the environments. People get so fixed the way they get to be treated or respected, or because of that programs. When people getting off the program or the patterns and understand that they're just in a pattern, and the other human being right now next to me come from completely different background, completely different reality than I am. So I get to be open enough to learn why we have this conflict. It's a culture conflict. It's like language barrier. What's why? We have this misunderstanding and collapse. Why? Like deeper we go in our why, we're learning how to be way more flexible within ourselves. Don't be attached to anything like that's happening outside, because what we get to work on just inside of ourselves, and being way more flexible, loving, caring, joyful within ourselves, and practice just that. What it is to be a joyful human, what it is to be a caring human, what it is to be kind human, what it is to be a loving human. So you're not anymore separating yourself. Oh, I'm a woman, I get to be treated like that or like this. I'm a man, No, you're looking at yourself as a human. That's why we created the human rights. Maybe some of us get to read again the human rights to understand what it is to be human. Everyone is different. But in Norway, they're learning about human rights at schools. They're learning to have a kids' rights at school. So like kids has their rights, like we adults have our human rights. So it's everything one. The things is how we understand our rights and how we communicate it with each other.
Yeah, and going, oh, say that again. I didn't mean to cut you off. There was a delay.
Being in peace with that.
Yes, and going culture to culture, human rights is a various interpretation. People in one country may think X is a right. In another country, they're like, no, that's a privilege or benefit. So there's some variation, but there's that core, like you're discussing. Humans, every human needs to feel loved, and they want to feel special, and they want to feel needed and have a purpose. But God is love, and for all of us, we all need love. And to share that with one another and that understanding and the patience, that's super important. So, all right. So between your birth and where you are today, Is there anything we missed in your story, Aisha, before we continue to where you are today and where you're heading next?
Well, I feel what's, when I look at my life, it's always going up and up and up and up. Yes, of course, I had like a this measure, also pivot moment of my life when 2022, I was living in a van. I was a hippie. All my friends was like so disappointed of me around that time of my life. I become so hippie. I was living in a van. I was selling my art from the van. I went from the festival to festival, and I was just smoking weed all day long. And I was just feeling like I don't need so much. If I need money, I just go and get like a fruits in one of the farms, and I'm just reselling the fruits in the city. If I wanna like sell my art, I just go into the beach in different events and just bringing my artworks, and I'm just selling it there. And that time I was doing a lot of prints, and I remember it was so easy for me to make money, and that amount of the money for the months, for 2 months, for 3 months, I already knew how much money roughly I'm. That's what kind of my engineering mindset. I knew how much money I was spending a month roughly, so I knew that if I make that money in 2 days, I'm fine for like a whole month. And if I want to make money for like a next 2 3 months, so I get to work like whole week or maybe 10 days to like make that money for next 2 3 months. So for me, every time I learn it through my hitchhiking time. I learn it how much money I need to make through the year because I'm going to travel for 2 months or 3 months. I get to talk to the teachers to say to them like, listen, I'm going to travel right now for 2 3 months. Can I do the exams right now, or do I need to take exams when I come back to the school again, the university again? So every time I get to maintain all of that, and I feel like when I become the hippie, I already knew how I'm going to organize my life around. But and that what happened, my van was broken in, everything was stolen, all my documents, all my life, all of it was completely gone in a day, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, what I got to do? So I was there alone with no, phones, nothing, and I got to figuring out my next move. This is when I actually accepted to live in the communities, and I kind of like started to make money. I still like was going through the festival to festival, but like I was not having my van or having money. I got every time figuring out how to be with people. And that's the first time because I was so independent in my own for all these years. And here I am, I get to work and collaborate with other people and be in a community. And the funny things, I like to share things, I like to speak in the beginning, but after I just like to do things, I like action, action, action. So what happened is after I think like less than a week in the community, everyone's sitting on the table, we're having breakfast and just people sharing and sharing and sharing. And it's like hours of sharing whatever they get to share every single day. And I remember after like 4 days or 3 days, I got so tired of it. I was like, oh my gosh, every day I get to share so much. I'm already like kind of like, oh, I'm like tired of it. So I just went to the garden. I was just started clean up everything, kitchen, whatever, organize things and doing work that I think would be right things to do, like washing, cleaning, cooking, doing whatever I get to do and gardening. And a few weeks later, they said to me, "Oh, now let's do you leader of the community. You're going to be the leader of the community." And I said, "Guys, I love you, but I'm here temporarily. I'm not the right person to be leader because I'm okay. I'm here, just work because I'm temporarily here. I want to fix my documents and I'm out to Europe. I'm not going to stay here." I was very clear about that. I need to just go through and that's it. But people know you get to be the leader. We're like, you're amazing. You just, doing the things what you're saying. It's very good, no. And I remember I said like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to take this responsibility right now because I'm not going to stay here. That I was like thinking as a leader, you get to stay and lead for like a while. And my idea was not about that. I just want to do things, go through and just move to the next, whatever next is for me right now. That was also a very funny moment where I learned every time I'm in the community, like, or doing things with other people, I even notice how like my natural leadership skills is coming in, and they just like, here you are again, become a stay in the top and say like, okay, now you're leading others. And I'm like, okay, how I can, why I'm here, why I'm doing it. But I get to accept that. That's what I'm learning right now. I get to just accept this role that I'm playing. And it's kind of like universe or God showed me like consistently about that, especially when I'm with people. And now I don't want to isolate myself. I get to like be part of this community. And the more I'm like learning that I'm a part of the community that I'm calling humanity, I I'm learning how to be true leader towards myself and towards what I'm creating, because while I'm here, I matter. My presence matter in the world. So I decided, okay, I cannot, because I'm an artist. Like, as an artist, you have, as you said, we're going emotion, how I can establish, how I can make my emotions more stable, how I can make my nerve system more stable so I don't go up and down so strong, that I will be consistent. And this year was amazing. And last year I started to, it was like this, because every year since 6 years, I think already, or 7 years, I do intentions of my, like intentions of the year, intentions of the months, intentions of the week, intention of the day. So for me, the intentions is in my book, Joyful Living Guidebook. I'm inviting people to create intentions. When you're creating intentions and you have some pivot moments or emotional moments, you're going towards this word, this intentional word of your year, and say, okay, this year of my life, it's success. So I get to be in that success mindset. I cannot allow myself to go down because some damage happened, or like a day not good or week not good. No, I'm like, I'm successful. I'm staying in my success. I'm intentional about that. So I'm going through, like, I'm doing, I don't push myself too down. I'm staying there in this high mindset and continue to stay there because I choose to. And like, more I'm staying there, I'm connecting with the people who can stay in that mindset too, and we can communicate simple, very simple, because it's just like consistent action. When we say we're there. When we say that I can do it, I can do it, I'm just there doing it. So it's all about figuring out how to stay in that mindset all the time, and intentionally. And even so, you cannot get out of the bed. It's okay, but still be in that mindset. Even you're going through some tough day or whatever, be in that mindset. Like, allow yourself to stay in that mindset. And that's not easy. The point is, choose to be there because it's a choice.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. I don't think there's any human on the planet that will always be in the right mindset. Some people will have a more stable existence, but for most humans, there's ups and downs. So the key isn't always having the right mindset like a robot, but it's how to identify, accept where you're at, and then pull yourself up. So, what are the things that help you stabilize and pull yourself out when the wrong mindset comes in?
I feel it's okay to be in these mindsets as well. Like, I'm just, allowed myself to be, sometimes I allow myself to be there to learn from that, because I understand where they come from, why I have the disappointment right now, why I'm upset right now, what's happening, what's the patterns I get to switch that I don't have it anymore. So I get to be flexible inside of my mind and know how to zoom in and zoom out, how to check in with myself. And nobody allowed us to have these emotions. Nobody outside. It's like the triggers that we have from outside world, the triggers we have within ourselves. When we work through all the triggers that we have, and nothing outside of the world anymore will affect us, our reality, because we can be in that consistent flow of happiness or consistent flow of joy. And it's up to us to stay there in that mindset, because in these moments when I have a little bit of sad moments or whatever, I feel like it's great to have them because I used to appreciate these moments too. So I use appreciation and gratitude that I'm still here. I'm still enjoying. I'm still living my dream. I'm living in the best countries in the world. I'm doing what I love. So like I'm editing the gratitude when I have this moment. So I'm working with the gratitude a lot. Like be grateful for the things, what I have, grateful what I have, grateful for what I'm creating, grateful for all of it, for life in general as well. And I'm feeling like gratitude is the foundation of everything that we do. When we practicing gratitude, our life become more stable, more like kind of like well-rounded because of the gratitude, because we really practicing gratitude from our heart, from our core. And that's, the foundation of everything that's coming after that. The joy, the peace, and all like the abundance, because we're grateful that we're here. We're grateful what we're creating. We're grateful to have what we have. We're like in this, like, I'm enough. I'm more than enough. And I'm creating better and better because I committed to create a joy in the world. I'm here to create more joy in the world. So I get to embody the joy within me. And by embodying joy within me and consistently go towards that day by day, months by months, you be that. That's why intention is also very important. More we intentional each day, it's creating the reality that we want to live, that dream life, that movie, the fairy tale, the adventure that we're here to live. Because it's no limits. It's like infinity how much we can create in this lifetime, and more we're focusing towards that infinite abundance from the universe, from the God, more is coming our way, and less we attach towards what we give to the world. Just like I'm giving because I can, because I want, that's it. I'm not expecting anything back because I'm enough. I'm more than enough. I'm already full of all this joy, so I can just share more hugs, more conversations, more love with others because I'm enough. I'm more than enough. That's kind of like coming from the place of fullness, or like from abundance, because you have so much energy and you can share more and more energy with other people. It's like infinite of the energy that you can share. And that's how you started to kind of like navigate yourself, because you started to feel infinite.
Yeah, we need to give from the overflow, and we can only give what we have. If we don't have 10 apples, I can't give you 5 apples. If I don't have joy, I can't share that with you, or I'm going to exhaust myself. So I think that's very wise advice, and it's biblically sound, We reap what we sow, and then we want to give and pour out love to others. But if we don't have that first within ourselves, what do we have to give? So awesome, Aisha. So let's do this. Where are you today? Where are you heading next? How can we help you get to your next goal?
Well, now I'm about to donate more of my art to the world. I'm already working with a few charities. One of them is connected to the cancer research. Another one is connecting to the orphan kids, because I'm an orphan myself. So like I want to, create more for the orphanages around the world. So I want to like people pay more attention to what's happening with orphan kids. That's the idea of, not idea, what's happening in reality, because they don't receive enough love and attention. They're going towards the criminals and, short lives and die very early. And how we can switch it, how we can give them that love. Because what I learned from my experience, if I would have a role model, like some kind of like a person, or like in this case, in many kids' life, it's a father and mother. The point is like when I'm seeing as an orphan, I would have a role model, like kind of like a father figure or mother figure that give me that direction. What kids need is just guidance and direction, because if we let them to do something they love, it's going to be easier for us to create better world, because we give them this opportunity to them to do what they love. Because the kids generally, they don't care if they have parents who don't when they're small. They started to care it a little bit later when they become a teenager, when they're feeling belonging. They want to feel belonging. So that's when they started to like have that switch. And after the world that doesn't accept them, that's what happened with me. My colleagues, my school colleagues didn't accept me. They didn't want to be my friends. That's why I went to the streets. The street kids was fine with that. They didn't care if I have parents or don't. But my schoolmates, they care. So like for them, I've been kind of like outsider, and they didn't want to relate to the outsider, or like someone like in the school it was one thing, but outside of the school they didn't want to be my friends. So I get to face that rejection at a very early age, especially when I started to feel like that idea of the belonging. And of course, the first what you want to do, you want to belong with your schoolmates, but then when they don't want to relate with you, you kind of like still kind of figuring out who you want to be related with, or who will accept you the way you are. So that's one of the things. That's what I was like. One of the things I think would be right things to do for the adults nowadays, to relate to that and do that switch through the example, by giving them these tools that these kids who is living in the orphan houses, they have a guidance of the people that they looking up to and respect, so they can listen to them and going towards the direction that they get to go, that they will be better and better humans slowly.
Awesome. Now, if somebody wants to contact you, whether it's to purchase your art, if they want to continue the conversation, if they want to buy your book, what's the best way to reach you?
People can find me on Aisha.today, is AISHA.today, where people can find about me, about my art, my projects, my book as well. And my book is also on Amazon and all the platforms as well. It's a Joyful Living guidebook. So yeah, and I have also a mentorship program that's called Joyful Living. And right now I'm developing the program for the kids as well. And that's actually like one-on-one program. I have 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months program. It's also on my website. People can also book the time with me through the link on my website. Here I am, happy to help, happy to serve in the best possible way and best joyful way.
That's fantastic. Well, Aisha, I know it's been a pleasure having you here today. I know our audience has just enjoyed it as well, and we've all learned a lot that we can apply to our lives. And like I asked before we wrap up your episode, is there anything we missed in your life, or any final thoughts, or something you just have on your heart or your mind you want to share with our listeners around the world?
I think I just want to add one thing. Joyful living, namaste. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, like our slogan says, listen, do, repeat for life. Don't just listen to the great information that Aisha shared with us today, but do the good you know you have to. Repeat it each day, form those healthy habits, the balance, so you can have a great life in this world, but more importantly, in eternity to come. So I'm David Pasqualone. This is our remarkable friend, Aisha. We love you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely hope this show has inspired you. The whole purpose of the Remarkable People podcast is to inspire you, to motivate you into action, to help you have an even better life, to overcome things you've not yet been able to overcome, or to grow to the next level that you never thought possible. And all of this, not just to benefit you in this world, but to have you come to a relationship with God where it grows every day stronger, and not just this world is blessed, but your eternity is blessed. And we sincerely want to do just that, and to glorify God. And we hope with this episode, we accomplish that. If we did, please let me know. It's great to be encouraged and to spread the word to our remarkable guests that it helped in your life. If we didn't, let me know. Write me an email. You can go to davidpasqualone.com, go to our contact us page, and let me know what you think. I got tough skin Let it rip. Anything you can think of to make this a better podcast, to help you grow and to glorify God, I'm in. So that's it. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for sending us feedback. If we can help you in any way, let us know. And if you can spread the word about the Remarkable People podcast, share the episode to your friends, your family on social media, it would be a huge honor and blessing. Again, I'm not trying to be the most famous podcast in the world for my benefit. I truly want a podcast that's the best podcast in the world to help as many people as we can to have a better life, come to know Christ, to grow in the Lord, and to have that salvation so they can be with God in peace and joy in eternity. And right now we're together on this earth, so let's do everything we can to work together and help each other grow. Like the Bible says, love the Lord thy God is the first commandment, and the next commandment is to love thy neighbor as thyself. So let's do it together. I'm David Pasqualone. I love you, not as much as God loves you, but if I can help you in any way, just ask. And again, please share this with your friends and family so we can help them too. Ciao. See you in the next episode.
The Remarkable People Podcast. Check it out. The Remarkable People Podcast. Listen, do, repeat. For life. The Remarkable People Podcast.